want to know is that there are so many other institutions which work apart from these 3 years, which are working from like 2 years onwards. These are preschools that we talk of, play schools that I'm talking of.
Mm-hmm.
Incidentally, I am a part of such school. I just wanted to know your thoughts on the future of such preschools. We have children coming from these preschools to our formal schools. So,
Mm-hmm.
because these preschools are the ones which are basically laying their foundation initially, maybe, making them independent, maybe, sort of developing those skills of being away from the parents for a little longer a time and then coming into our schools. So my question is that, how do you perceive these schools to be? Do you think that there's still going to be a mushrooming of these schools, or there would be some sort of a, it would be a survival of the fittest type of a situation now?
Well, once we get rid of this COVID, since the vaccination is there now, let's hope that soon the schools will open. And it also depends from school to school. Like good standard schools, if the children start going from class from age two onwards, also there is no harm in that because they learn so much. I mean, the teachers, they are also trained in that manner to train the children further. So it depends from school to school. If the parents are sending the students to the school, then in that case they should ensure that they are sending them to a good standard school where they have a proper curriculum, and then only, I mean, they should be sending the students. Otherwise the child is just going over there playing and coming back. It's no point
May I
until
throw some
until the
light on
child
it?
doesn't I mean, learn something better. The school enhances on the overall personality development of the child. There are so many activities that can be done, hands-on activities, experiential learning, so many things are there. So all that has to be, it is already included in the curriculum, but then again it depends from school to school.
Right. Thank you.
Right. So thank you, Komal ma'am. And with this, I would request Divya ma'am, if I may present this question to you.
Yes, of course, please.
Divya ma'am, the question has come from Miss Shelley. Shelley ji is vice principal with the Sintels School, Kanpur. Shelley ji has asked, will there be any change in academic curriculum? Or what?
Mhm.
Obviously, we believe that there would be change in academic curriculum. So what would be that change? If you can highlight one or two important points.
Yeah, of course, as I told already that there will be a add-on of vocational learning as the if I talk about a child who wants to learn embroidery, gardening, carpentry for that matter, or home science in different way. So of course, academic calendar we will change. Might be if we work with the 48 sub periods for 1 week, then of course we'll reduce some some periods or some that time we will reduce and we'll focus on that. And apart from co-curricular activities, like we talk about dancing, singing, or so many are there. And we need to, apart from that, of course they are already there in our syllabus, and of course they are already there in our timetable, but we need to add on these topics also for our vocational. So what my point is, of course our timetable in the coming session will change totally. Like it will be not this as we were having earlier. It will be changed totally. Yeah, thank you. Is there any other
Right.
question, please, Jul? Yeah.
Absolutely. I'll come back to you. Thank you, Divya ma'am, for highlighting that. Now, I would request Puneet Goswami sir. Puneet sir, if I may present this question to you.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Puneet sir, as you know, Divya ma'am has also talked about that vocational learning part. So
Mhm.
many educators, in fact, during our last many sessions, have also raised doubts. How would that logistic problem will get fulfilled? How that will be countered? Do we have that number of trainers? That 10 days vocational training starting from sixth standard. So, what are
Mhm.
your assessment, your comments?
See, as I am into the higher education sector. I'm representing that also into this today's discussion. So, in the AICT, if you see, they have already launched certain this workshops that is free of cost on for the teachers, and they can attend. That is, I think, on every week basis they can attend that program, and they can enhance their skill set. They are basically on all the industry 4.0, And as far as the vocational training budget, you are telling about the faculties, those who are teaching at the primary level or the secondary level, the students. That is also very a vital component. I will touch from the beginning itself. In the beginning, when the student is, I think, 2 years or 3 years old, and they are just moving into these play schools, the first and the foremost requirement, I think, for the school is to represent them better. And there must be a direct connect between the parents, the children, and the teachers as well. And the reason I am quoting this point is ki how best a particular school is representing themselves on that platform. Like, take a very small example. If I am admitting today my child to a school, what I perceive when he comes back after 7 or this after 1 month, I am seeing a small kind of change in my son. That my child is developing the habits, how I have to eat, what is the way to eat, how I have to walk, how I have to behave with my peers, how I have to just talk to them, how I have to convey my things to them. So this is basically a learning phase for them. And a play schools are meant for that only. And these kind of testimonials from both the parents and the teachers and the students in particular is very vital to be highlighted by each and every school. So the parents can come to know how my child is developing. They can see a picture from the school representation, how they are representing the children over there, what kind of training they are giving to them. So whenever they will see a video of a particular child and what a transformation phase he has gone in during that duration, this will definitely reflect in the upbringing of a child and will value the level of that particular school as well. So it is not about how we are going to do it. It is about how best we are going to do it. So we have to understand this point. The more we train our particular this faculty, because this is the primary job I'm telling you. In the beginning itself, if you train your this child like that, develops those habits, because habits are first and the most, I think, vital point which needed to be done. And the vocational training, critical thinking, analytical thinking, once a student learns all these things, definitely he will do wonders in the field. So my particular point, this point I would like to highlight over here is, we should not again devote debate on which strategy is the best. We have to ensure that whatever we are delivering to the child is being transmitting the way we want it to be. So if that will be our sole agenda, or then I think every task can be achieved. Thank you.
Thank you, Goswami sir. Now I would request Mr. Nitin Nagpal. Nitinji, if I may present this question to you. This is about the flexibility of choosing subjects. Uh, in fact, during our last sessions, this kind of questions have come up many times. How much more confusion it would add to those students. If one student chooses physics, simultaneously music, simultaneously economics. So what career he would be looking for? So don't you think it would create more confusion? Nitinji.
Yes, Rajul, thank you. Of course, it is going to create a confusion कि अभी तक तो उसको स्ट्रीम डिसाइड कर दिया जाता था, तुम साइंस में हो, तुम कॉमर्स में हो, तुम आर्ट्स में हो, तुम्हें साइंस में जाना है, तुमने कॉमर्स में जाना है, तुमने आर्ट्स में आगे जाना है. नाउ इफ आई एम टेकिंग एज द एग्जांपल यू गेव कि फिजिक्स के साथ केमिस्ट्री ले लिया और साथ में म्यूजिक ले लिया, ठीक है, तो वन ऑफ द करियर दैट कैन बी हियर इज फिजिक्स के साथ म्यूजिक, तो म्यूजिकल इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स के फील्ड में बच्चा आगे जा सकता है. बट यस, a lot of confusion will be there. We can find the ways to clear the confusion, but the number of opportunities that it offers to the students is outstanding. I mean, we, with the help of technology, with the help of training the teachers, of course, I'm sure that at the senior level as well, there will be some courses which would be added in the at university level कि ऐसे बच्चा क्या करे, तो confusions के slowly दूर हो जाएंगी, but opportunities are marvelous. Yes.
Absolutely. So yes, it adds confusion, but obviously it adds more opportunities.
Rajul,
Thank
may
you.
I please add to it also is that the opportunity has increased in terms of NEP being also applicable on higher educational institutions. So when those are involved, because up till 1986 they were only contained to school policy, school educational policy. So ideally, our universities did not have a course to supplement such sort of a sort of a curated basket of subjects. So when the universities are also welcoming such courses, such result in terms of aggregate result in a mixed field, so I don't think children would have any problem, because ultimately, for example, a child to do English honors at a BA level, all he or she wants needs to understand is English properly, have a inclination for literature. So similarly, music honors for that matter, so even if they have studied physics, chemistry and music, so music honors for that matter would be applicable for the child. So the opportunities would increase, but the best thing that has come out is that even the higher educational institutions have been told to adapt themselves to this new policy and create a platform where children can apply accordingly. So that has been a very welcome change. Yes.
Absolutely, that is a key difference. What you Pooja ji is saying between this policy and the previous policies. Thank you, Pooja ji, and thank you, Nitin ji, for making that remark. Now, I would request Savio. Savio,
Ji.
you are an authority. You belong to the world of art education. I would say music in particular.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
as during her talk, Divya ji also said that NEP highlights or emphasize upon very good initiatives, but where the resources would come from. So if I ask you a
Mhm.
direct question, let's say if students, 10% students or 5% students from every school, would like to choose music. Do we have that
Mhm.
number of trainers for every school or that number of resources? How we are going to face that challenge?
Rajulji, just like during the main talk, like I was speaking about, there needs to be some kind of a proper framework, which needs to be, there need to be some proper guidelines given as to how we can, empower our trainers. There needs to be more opportunities where, where we can, train the existing teachers also on certain components of music. Now, secondly, if we want to reach out to such a vast level of students in the country, there needs to be some kind of a satellite program also. There are courses like body percussion, home percussion, beatboxing, songwriting, and vocals. Of course, these do not require learning of a particular instrument, physical instrument like a guitar or a keyboard or a drum. Of course, if you learn these instruments, it's an added advantage. But there also needs to be some kind of a recognition given to these auxiliary courses. Yeah. And when it comes to infrastructure is going to attract a good amount of costing, Rajulji. That cannot be covered, that cannot be ignored. This costing factor cannot be ignored. So probably companies like us would come into the picture, and we would be able to aggregate all these resources and provide an entire 360-degree solution for this.
Absolutely. In fact, this NEP also talked about that hub school kind of concept. Where one school would be working as a center for many schools. So, do you think like that would help in sharing in terms of resources?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That would also help share the resources. Secondly, the NEP also talks about how, local skilled artists also could be called for some short-term programs, So, for a 3-month or a 4-month program in the school, and they could be also doing the same thing, instead of doing an entire year-long program. So this is also where these issues can be addressed.
Right. Thank you, Savio, for that. And with this, we come to the come to the end of this wonderful sessioning part. So, I would request all our speakers if we can have your concluding remarks before we close the session. And before I invite our first speaker, Das Gupta ma'am, for her key remarks, I would like to thank all our key speakers. So I'll begin with Das Gupta ma'am. Das Gupta ma'am, thank you for joining. Related these very important points, I'll just again reiterate those highlights. You talked about that key challenge would be for tracking students who are not attending schools, and join or like creating an environment where they can join schools, they can be part of our education system. Need to encourage a peer learning and recruitment of bright teachers. In fact, many educators, almost everyone, believe that teachers are the soul of any institution. But irony is that most of the teachers, and this is what educators say, that most of the teachers who have chosen teaching, they haven't chosen. Teaching was not the first preference for many of them. So this needs to be changed. So you also talked about that we need more focused and cautious approach to achieve learning outcomes while designing a curriculum. So thank you. I'll come back to you for your concluding remark. And then
Sure,
Pooja Gupta ji, thank you for joining. And you talked about that the biggest advantage or positive of NEP, that it has taken uh, uh, education outside of those institution buildings, schools and colleges. Now parents are looking for more active participation, other part of society also playing their part. Teachers motivation and financial finances are going to be a challenge that need to be seen how we overcome with that. And more proactive involvement of parents, that is the need of the hour. Thank you, Pujaji. I'll come back to you for your concluding remark. And Komal ma'am, thank you for joining. And you made your assessment that it's a dynamic approach towards education, this NEP, and it has a potential to make India, become self-reliant, in terms of generating resources. I also believe that NEP aims to make our entire education system child-centric. The learning has to be child-centric, and you also believe that it encourages a competency-based education, which would bring huge changes to our entire education system. Thank you, Komal ma'am. I'll come back to you for your concluding remark. Ma'am joined, uh, though in two parts. So Divya ma'am talked about NEP will help us in creating world-class institutions, if executed well. And you also made your assessment that NEP emphasizes upon the development of local languages. It has both sides. It has advantage. It has some limitations with it. So you also talked about that, vocational learning, the emphasis which NEP has given upon the vocational learning is going to be a key. And if executed well, if practiced well, it would bring huge fruits. And you also talked about arranging infrastructure is challenge primarily for rural and budget schools. So thank you, Adivya ma'am. And then Dr. Puneet Goswami talked about the key challenge, that is the unemployability. And that unemployability, he also suggested the reasons, as per him, behind this unemployability challenge in India. He also talked about the training for teachers and providing them resources would be a key solution. And Nitinji talked about how with the help of technology we can find right careers. And then Savio talked about how music can increase our efficiency and resources. So with this, I thank all our key speakers. I would request all the speakers, for your concluding remark. Also, we have established one practice. While sharing your concluding remark, if you can share one suggestion or one idea which you would like to implement as a minister of education. If you get a chance to become a minister of education for one day, तो आप वो आइडिया तो आप करेंगे एग्जीक्यूट, ऐसा कौन सा आइडिया होगा? तो आई कम रेंडमली, ताकि आप लोग अपने आंसर्स फिक्स ना करें. So I'll pick and you choose. I'll come randomly to all the speakers. I would request Puneet Goswami sir, if I may ask you first, if
Yes.
you become like your concluding remark, and if you get a chance to become Minister of Education for one day, so what would be your idea which you would like to execute? Puneet Goswami sir.
Yes. So my concluding remarks for today is, as higher education sector, we are in the growing demand for the higher education skill set. That is the need of the hour, because in the various section of the society we need them very badly. So to overcome that, we have to train our faculties as per the latest technologies, definitely mentioning industry 4.0. We are looking forward for industry 5.0 in the coming future, maybe after 3 to 4 years. So they have to be, the skill set need to be improved at all the levels for that. So that is my take away from this discussion for today. As rightly pointed out by you, if I become the Minister of Education, for a one day, what kind of change I would like to bring in the education sector. So first thing which I would like to do and ensure that, since in a one day I cannot make or draft the policies which are fruitful for the entire nation. So first thing I would like to ensure is the allocation of the sufficient fund to all the rural sector of our country, to ensure that at least they are not deprived of the technology. Because even in the current situation of COVID-19, I personally know in the rural areas, neither the faculties nor the students are able to connect with each other because of the lack of technology. So my first and the topmost priority will be to ensure that at least every corner of the country, every student is not at least deprived of the education. So that will be the my prime, I think, objective in handling this current scenario. Thanks a lot.
Right. So Puneet Goswami sir says that if we become a Minister of Education for one day, तो वो सारा पैसा rural से education की तरफ focus करेंगे
Not
primarily.
all, but maximum
Major.
to ensure that the urban also needs a point of worship. But
Many experts, sir, many experts also believe that major part of government resources are already being spent in those areas. In India, 70% states have average 25,000 rupees annual expenditure per student. So that is the government spending, पर वो पैसा जा कहाँ रहा है वो एक शोध का
see,
विषय
just
है.
I will give you a quick answer on it, because that will be a very through that you can easily understand. See, I am the taxpayer, like you. I am getting a salary, I think. So even after paying a tax, I have to pay tax for each and everything. Isn't this is a reality? So we have to understand in which countries actually even a taxpayer is again and again paying tax for each and everything. Even if I'm buying a vehicle, I am by this paying a road tax. Again, we have to pay the toll tax. Again, we have to do every time I'm moving out of the this dining in any restaurant. Again, I have to pay tax, GST, everything. Apart from that, again I am paying for a tax for my this separately from my salary. So these are the points of concern. If you go for the system of the other countries, they deduct a tax once, then a social security number is given to.
That's altogether a different topic, sir. Direct
Yeah,
tax and direct tax
yeah,
altogether. But we were talking about कि जो resources हैं, resources अभी भी जो सरकार के हैं वो
yes,
education पे
yeah.
जो rural part है government school में वो अच्छे खासे खर्च हो रहे हैं. The effective utilization of those resources, जैसे बहुत सारे experts ने
Yes,
पहले कहा, accountability is not there.
the smart classroom with this kind of fund, immediately this transformation of education can happen with a smart classroom coming into the picture, and developing the skill sets of the faculty, the teachers who are teaching over there. But that transformation is not being seen. No? That is the problem. We are not seeing that transformation.
Right,
So
right,
that is this all the manpower has to ensure
right,
that they are doing their task very honestly in that. That's it.
right, right, sir. Thank you, Puneet sir. Now I'll request Nitin Nagpal ji. Nitin ji, your concluding remark and what would be your idea?
Thank you, Rajul. As concluding remark, I'm enlightened with the knowledge that I have received through the various panelists today. I learned new perspective of the NEP, and as Minister of Education for one day, okay, I would uh, like to implement 7 to 11. There should be classes for students, and 11 to 1 there should be classes for teachers. और ऐसी क्लास जिसका टीचर वेट करे कि ये कब शुरू होगी, so that training the trainers uh, problem is sorted out as well along with it.
Right. Wonderful, very innovative. So thank you, Nitin ji, for that. Like, do we have the presence of Savio? Because I'm not able to see your name here. Have you lost the signal? Okay, so Savio will be joining us back. I would request now Pooja Gupta ji, Pooja ma'am, your concluding remark and what would be your idea? जो आप अगर एक दिन बनते हैं मिनिस्टर तो एक दिन आप वो implement तो जरूर करेंगे.
Lovely
Pooja ji, over to you.
thought, Shakul ji, and I think I would start with my idea first and then conclude. My idea that I would like to apply would be on parents, and I would definitely want a mandatory course in parenting. For the parents to understand education and also to understand education as an investment and not as an expenditure. And this is the afterthought of COVID and the struggle that we are facing in collecting fees from our students, and how we have to sort of debate with them and let them understand that this is an important investment, and and how and why we need the fees to run our public school. So it is a very wonderful thought, in case we could have something where the parents could be oriented in the art of actual parenting, understanding what is important, understanding the priorities of the children that they have brought to the world, and sort of also investing in their future in a more effective manner. And having said that, the concluding remarks, first of all, I'm very thankful to Kamya, because she was like following me for loads of days, and requesting me to come in. And I was a little apprehensive because your session was supposed to be for 2 hours, but it has been a very lovely 2 hours spent on this platform, where we have heard such good thoughts. We have shared lovely ideas, and I'm very thankful to be here. And also on this auspicious day, I think we should all be able to work towards a better future. And of course, NEP has given us that platform that we are able to share and also create more better opportunities. So thanks, Rajat ji, for having me, and thanks, School Lalaji, for the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Pooja ji. With this, I would request Das Gupta ma'am. Ma'am, what your concluding remark, and what would be your idea if you become a Minister of Education? Das Gupta ma'am.
Uh, I would like to say that if you take my concluding remark, that it was a wonderful session, a great learning experience for me, great knowledge sharing over here in this platform. And thank you, Kamya. I would like to thank you also bringing all of us in this platform and for such a beautiful session. And with the implementation of this NEP, I believe that India will undergo a huge change. And I think that we should all be open to change, because change is the only thing which is constant. And if I'm the education minister for one day, I would like to utilize the resources in the right way possible, because it cannot go into a hand of a novice. So that I'm not going to do. First, I'll make sure, because, first thing which comes to my mind is the teachers, the mentors, the facilitators. In education, their role comes first. So for that, they should be well equipped. They should be enriched, empowered. And for that I would like to, act as a trainer too, so that effective teaching takes place, and, the emotional, physical, and spiritual well-being of the students are taken into consideration. And children only learn when they are encouraged. If they are discouraged, they don't like the teacher. They don't like to be inside the classroom. So the best thing to inculcate in the students, that, applaud their least effort. So for this also, sessions have to be taken with the teachers, because most of the teachers, I have seen that they have a mindset in the classroom that ye bachcha to kuch bhi nahi kar sakta. So we have to, bring them back from that kind of a mindset, and put them back into action, so that these teachers become excited teachers, and more learning outcomes are seen. And I would like to thank everyone, the organizers, for having me in this platform. Thank you.
Thank you, Das Gupta ma'am. Teachers training would be your key focus and their welfare meant as well. Thank you, Das Gupta ma'am. Now I would request Divya Tripathi
You're
ji.
welcome.
Thank you, ma'am. Divya ji, I see that you have joined back. Divya ji, I believe, has lost the signal again. I would request Komal ma'am, your concluding remark and you would like to do as a Minister of Education for one day.
Okay, as a Minister of Education, I would want to focus on education for all, because the right to education belongs to all. And simultaneously, I would also focus on quality education, which is very important. And in my concluding remark, I would just like to say that it is the need of the hour that we implement the national education policy, as it has a pragmatic approach for better prospects. And I would also like to thank the organizers for having me today. Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you all. Thank you all the key speakers, Das Gupta ma'am, Komal ma'am, Divya ma'am, Pooja ji, Nitin Nagpal ji, Dr. Puneet Goswami, Mr. Xavier John, and all other participants for joining and making this 83rd session truly special one. Big thanks once again. This is the end of the day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Radhika.